It's not you, especially if you're working by yourself. You're doing 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You're doing 12 jobs at once when you're trying to make a video game, okay? Hi there. I don't know if I've actually shown my face on this channel. I promise there's more RPG Maker tutorials coming. I actually figured out how to do like some really cool stuff that I want to share with you guys, but I have too many things going on. If you've ever attempted to make a video game, you know that it's hard, especially if you do it by yourself, because you have so many things. You've got art, you've got game design, you've got level design, you've got the story, you've got the music, the sounds. I mean, there's so much that goes into game development, which is why it's the ultimate life form. Life form? Art form. Sorry. But I thought today I would just do a little fun ranking and explain why, for me personally, some things are harder than others. It's going to be different for every person, but let's just get started. First, we're going to start with programming. Now, if you're using RPG Maker, this is great because you don't have to worry about programming. I have used Unreal Engine primarily, which is blueprint programming, and that's like connecting nodes. So it's still C++, but it is in a way that isn't just code and syntax. And then I tried doing Godot tutorials and I was like, oh my god, this is so frustrating, I feel stupid. So if we're talking, the reason I mention this because that's 3 different levels of programming. There's basically no programming, something like blueprints, which is visual scripting, and then you have like just actual code. I hate code. I hate it so much. So if we're just talking about that, I'm gonna put it at S for me because I'm an artist. I'm not a programmer. If you're a programmer, it's kind of probably gonna be flipped if you do art. And speaking of which, it says 3D, but we'll say art. Okay, so programming is the hardest. I mean, art isn't like easy even if you're an artist. It's just like, yeah, so high skill, high stress, creative. Yeah, we'll put it at C. Whatever. What does that say? Creative and technical balancing act. I guess I should look at these like tiers. So S tier is Herculean effort, very difficult, and then intense wizardry is A rank. High skill, high stress is B tier. C tier is creative and technical balancing act. Yeah. D tier requires attention to detail. E, underappreciated art. Okay, all right. Okay, well then if that's the case, yeah, I guess we'll do intense wizardry, A rank, because these are interchangeable. If you're more into math, programming is going to be easier. If you're more into art, art's going to be easier, but it's still a lot of work. Even if it's not difficult for you, it takes a lot of time. It takes testing. It takes trying different things and fixing problems, whether it's a visual bug with your art or a programming bug with your code. Oh my god, I'm getting stressed out already. Animation. I'll put that in C tier, creative and technical balancing act. And here's an important lesson for you. Eventually I'm going to do tutorials on how to make PS1 graphics because it's how I recommend anyone starts in 3D. And there's so many people who want to make these AAA games and they buy these fancy asset packs and characters, but what they don't understand is if the character looks completely super hyper realistic, but then they have PS2 animations, it just looks very scary and uncanny and strange. You don't want to do that. But if your character looks like a PS1 model and they have janky animations, it's fine because they're low poly, it just works, you know, and it's less work for you. If your animation is bad, nobody will care. So that's where it's not so much that animation is important, it's just to remember that what kind of animation for what you're doing really, really matters. Networking, ugh. I'm an introvert. I hate networking. I hate meeting with people and talking and going to any sort of thing. Although it's really fun when you actually do connect, but like you have to like sit through so many awkward conversations when you realize the person you're talking to, you do not share any similar interests in game development or whatever. It's important, but it's not everything. I have a programmer that I work with who helps me in Unreal Engine, and he's some dude in Serbia, and we've totally become friends or whatever. So for me, I'm going to say it's a quality over quantity thing. Man, I'm misspeaking today. And if you can find even one person who like you both have like the same vision of like the kind of games you play and the kind of games you want to make, then invest in that relationship, message them, make sure to play test whatever they're doing, like treat them the way you'd want to be treated as a game developer. So if they say, hey, could you check this out, check it out, give feedback, and you can do the same, and you guys can help each other. It's really, I don't know where people go to do that on Discord or what. We just met organically. I bought some of his Unreal assets. He makes really good templates, and then we started talking when he was helping me, and yeah. So I'll put that in C rank as well. UI and UX. So in case you don't know, UI is user interface and UX is user experience, I think. And basically the difference between them is your UI is what you're actually, like the menus that you're clicking on and things that you're moving around, whereas user experience is more of like the feeling and the way that menus move around, like, you know, different aesthetics and stuff like that. Both of which are a lot more important than you think. I mean, everyone remembers cool menu screens, right? But it's also very difficult. I'm going to put it at A tier because I suck at UI and I hate it, but it is so important. Next is game design, which is actually what my bachelor's degree is in. And high skill, high stress. That is actually the perfect way to describe it, because when you're the game designer, you're essentially like the producer. You're the one who is making sure that the fun is there, that the gameplay loop is there, and it's like, if you guys want me to do any sort of extensive videos about any of these, you know, that you may be interested, like I want to know more about game design or like how do I become better at UI or whatever, let me know in the comments because I can try to make videos breaking them down. Because like I said, I mean, look at all this. This is, imagine doing all this by yourself. Well, you can't imagine because you're probably doing it by yourself. Anyway, game design. So when I play video games, I'm not playing them like normal people. I'm like looking for the gameplay loop. I'm trying to detect my excitement, or like I'll notice like, oh, when I was just playing right now, I was really focused. Let me think about why and what just happened. Seeing how many like bullets they give you. Do they give you too much? Do they give you not enough? Especially if you play bad games, those are the best ones because it's a lot easier to figure out what makes a game bad than like playing a good game and trying to figure out like, okay, why is this enjoyable? Because there's too many nuances. But when you play a bad game, there's usually very clear, you know, like when you're playing a game like, like this level is so long or whatever. There you go. The levels are too long. Stuff like that. But good game design is so important, and it's kind of difficult. It's a whole subset skill of its own. Then we have marketing. So I'm in a very privileged position with marketing because I have a gaming channel. If you're into Resident Evil, it's called Ink Ribbon, and basically anything you could ever want to know about Resident Evil, I've done a video on it. So I can just market straight to my audience. However, even in that situation, if I'm making a game that's not survival horror or something even indirectly related to a franchise like Resident Evil or Tomb Raider, my audience probably won't care. Like they'll just, you know, there'll be a couple people that will support me because, you know, they've been following my channel or whatever. But even in that situation, I would have to really work hard with marketing and trying to get stuff out there. So that's where you just got to do all sorts of gymnastics, like posting GIFs on Reddit, which is GIFs are like the godsend of promoting your game, or just short, anything that people can just see it and then they go, ooh, that's cool. So Twitter and Reddit for promoting your games using like screenshots, 10 out of 10. But, you know, that's not easy. I'm going to put it at A tier because it's... Well, creative, I don't know where to put this. It's hard. I'll just put it at B tier because it is very important, but it's also really just cumbersome and annoying and nobody wants to do it. Sound design. Ooh. So this completely depends on what kind of game you're making. If you're just making like a little platformer game or something like an RPG Maker, sound is definitely important. Actually, no, even in RPG Maker, let me just paint a picture. You have a character, they walk up to a drawer, and it says they open the drawer, there was paper inside, and that's it. Now, imagine the same exact thing, but they open the drawer and you hear the sound of the drawer opening, and then they say, that you hear a crumpling paper. Ooh, there's a paper inside, and then you hear the drawer close. Just that little bit of sound gives so much to the audience. You have no idea. I should probably do a whole video on the importance of sound effects and all that stuff. So, it's not difficult to put in sound, honestly. Just buy some sound packs and there you go. But it's really important. So I'm going to say requires attention to detail. It's not hard, but it is important. Localization, that's a Herculean effort because it's insanely expensive and time consuming to have, depending on how big a game is, to have it localized. But if you're sending it to other countries, it basically needs to be in a language for that country. So I've never dealt with that yet, but I'm sure at some point I will. And I speak English and Spanish, and even then my Spanish isn't like perfect, so I could do those languages on my own. A lot of people have started using ChatGPT and other stuff, but apparently that leaves a lot of errors, although it's probably more accurate than trying to just use like, you know, Google or whatever. I don't know. AI is going to change everything. I have a whole video planned about that. But anyway, story writing. Now, I'm assuming some of you, you're one of two people. You love writing stories and characters, or you make a game and then you're like, oh, I guess I have to put in a story. Well, what the hell do I write about? Right? You're one of those two. So that's going to completely depend on you. I am the former, where I have more stories and characters written than I could ever make any amount of games about, and it breaks my heart because I've got some really cool concepts and characters and ideas that I don't think I'll ever be able to get to them. So for me, underappreciated art. I think story is really important. I don't care if you're making a game like Tetris. Like, even Tetris 2 had cutscenes, believe it or not. There was like these little animated people that would do these weird things. It was weird, but at least there was something. It was like a little reward, like, ooh, you know. And people will create stories of their own. You'd be surprised. You have to give them just a little bit of information, and they fill in the blanks. Fan theories and all sorts of stuff come out. Anyway, level design. Immediately, I know this is going to go on the same tier as game design because level design is really important. What immediately comes to mind as a good example of thoughtful level design is Skyrim, or I guess Fallout does it too. But whenever you go into anything that's like a dungeon, you always are able you go through the dungeon, you do whatever, and then when you get to the end, there's usually like a trap door that will open or some sort of thing that will let you right back to the entrance. So most of the dungeons loop back around, and then instead of having to walk all the way back to the dungeon, which would take forever because you can't fast travel, you just walk right up to the front door and leave, or you can go back in if you want to. Little things like that are really important. But it's not just that. There's also like, where is the camera? What can the player see? All that stuff is really, really important. It's not just like, this is what the room shape is going to be. It's like, where are the enemies going to be placed? Where are the obstacles going to be placed? And, if the player goes here, they have to get this key, and then that'll unlock this door, which has that key inside. There's so many little things to it. But it's fun. It can be fun. It can also be very annoying. For me, level design is fun, but actually putting the level together, especially in 3D, it takes forever, and I'm just like so bored because it's like assembling Legos, but not fun. Unless, maybe some people find it fun. I don't know. Now, the last one, again, is very subjective. Music. Very important. Any video game that you love, you can probably think of music in it right now as I say that, and you know how important music is. However, we are poor, broke, struggling game developers, I'm assuming, and we can't just compose music through someone that we hire and have a whole orchestra, or commission Nobuo Uematsu. So you either know how to make music or you don't. For me, I mostly buy music packs. I will just find music that fits the tone of what I'm going for. I just want nice music. I'm not trying to make people download the soundtrack. Oh, I fall asleep to this music. I love it so much. No, I just want to put some nice music that works. And I like going on itch.io and a couple other places specifically for game developer music, because there's a lot of indie devs who make music, and that's kind of like a way to make money for themselves. So if you're someone who makes music, sell it as assets. I sell my PS1 models on itch.io and I do pretty good. So you should think about that. Same thing, if you're a programmer and you can program like nobody's business, make templates for things. Like, oh my god, if you can make RPG Maker plugins, you can make quite a bit of money, especially if it's easy work for you. Like, please, because it helps people like us who aren't programmers, because I tried learning JavaScript and I wanted to kill myself. Okay. I'll put this at C tier because it's one of those things that it depends on your skills, but it's very important. So there you go. I'm not going to recap because you've watched this video, right? And yeah, this is all the stuff, and this isn't even everything. There's more than this if we were to really break it down, but game development is hard. So if you ever feel down on yourself, like you're like, oh man, I'm struggling to finish this game, or this game is taking so long, this is why. It's not you, especially if you're working by yourself. You're doing 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You're doing 12 jobs at once when you're trying to make a video game, okay? You're doing all of these things whether you realize it or not. So don't ever feel bad. Don't ever feel like you're doing a bad job. Just be patient, take your time, and understand that you're going to be good at some things and bad at others. Try to fill in what you can, where you can, buy assets, do what you got to do, okay? And I'm going to end this here because this video is probably way too long. But if you think of any other tutorials you'd like to see, or anything you'd like me to talk about game dev related, because I don't want to brag, but I literally have the art school debt. I might as well talk about what I learned while I was there. But let me know in the comments. And thank you so much for the 6,000 subscribers. That's crazy. I was just kind of doing this as like a game dev outlet. But anyway, I'll end this here. Thank you guys so much. Remember to drink water, pet your pets, and I'll see you in the next video.